So thank you, those of you in the audience who are joining us for this Twilio workshop session. Delighted to have three amazing experts from the Twilio team. Thibaut, can you just quickly say hi? Introduce yourself.
Hello, nice to meet everyone. So my name is Thibaut. I'm the Solutions Director for Twilio in France. And I'm really happy to be here and talk about this really interesting subject about contact center and how the API are really transforming this I would say way of doing interaction with customers. So quick introduction, you probably know Twilio. We're helping companies communicate with their customers via the different APIs that we have around SMS, WhatsApp, voice chat, and all those services. And we also have a contact center platform, which is called Flex, which we're going to touch upon a little bit today. And it's a very different approach because we're very API focused as a company, and we want to really bring all the value to the developers through our APIs first. And so this is a nice transition to maybe introduce Joël, who's one of our internal experts on the contact center.
Hi everyone, my name is Joel Drakes. I'm a contact center sales specialist, which means I work with the Twilio sales team to engage customers around their requirements and needs in the contact center and customer experience domain. I have a technical background, but today my job is really to understand the challenges of my customers and to help them adopt agile, API-based cloud contact center technologies.
Fantastic. Welcome, Joel, too. And Jonas.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jonas. I'm a solution engineer, actually in Thibaut's team. I've been with Twilio for the past 2 years, working with customers to implement, in particular, Flex and all the ecosystem that goes with it. Flex is a very agile solution, as Joel said, and it can be integrated to many, many systems. So my job here is to figure, talking with the business, talking with the users, talking with the technical teams, how to best implement and how to best integrate Flex into the ecosystem and make sure it's optimizing everything in the contact center.
Fantastic, thank you. And my name is Claire Barrett. I'm a director at APIs First and delighted to be facilitating this session this morning. So Thibaut, you've been helping organizations transform with technology over, I think, a few years. And I think contact centers, of course, are a great example of part of an organization that's kind of led the way for many years in the use of application of technologies, back from IVRs to workflow automation, chatbots, omni-channel experiences. And now you're here today to talk to us a bit about how APIs are contributing to the kind of the next era of transformation in contact centers.
Yeah, absolutely.
How do they get started? What are they talking about?
So it's an interesting journey, and so the Flex journey, and Joël is going to probably give you a little bit more information on how we started the journey with a great story. But what's really interesting is that we're seeing that today, and especially with the last 2 years, that there's a huge demand on the market for a more, I would say, enlightened way to interact with customers. And there's a lot of transformation going on in companies, and of course, you have different approaches that you can have there. One is usually to use, tools that are already there, that is just out of the box. You can use it, and but that usually makes it very then difficult to integrate with other tools, or as you grow, to be able to really connect it with your internal business application and stuff like that. So that's one approach, which is really to buy stuff and just try to integrate them with your, I would say, internal SI. And the other approach, which is the one where we're kind of looking at Twilio, is really to be able to build your own experience. And because in the end, we see that having a unique experience is what is going to be a good differentiator for you with your customers. And this is how you're going to get in market shares. This is how you're going to have a better impact. And in the end, have probably more happy customers, which will be then returning customers. So that's the build approach that we have, which is really counterintuitive if you look at the, I would say, contact center ecosystem, because most of the more traditional players are more very monolithic, build on very specific stuff, and then if you want to customize to integrate it, it's sometimes a little bit cumbersome. So really had this idea to turn things a little bit around and see how we could leverage the platform that we have, which has been here for over 10 years now, which is serving our customers in terms of communications, enabling them to have like meaningful interaction with their customers, and how we could bring that to the contact center space. And maybe I'll pass it on to Joël now, because I think it's really interesting to understand how we created Flex and where we're going since a couple of years with the product, and also we'll talk probably about what's the future of Flex and how we're seeing it evolve in the future.
Thanks, Thibaut. Yeah, so basically Twilio was founded on the principle to deliver communications channels, but with modern tools that IT people will be able to implement. Because that didn't really exist. You needed to go and go to a provider, a telecom carrier, and get some services and channels, hardware, stuff to make communications works. But we invented the concept of communication through API, and that is what Twilio is. We were not strictly speaking in the contact center space, but what happened is in 2015 we met with ING Bank, the international banking organization based in the Netherlands, and they were in the process of completely reinventing their business and their organization, and they wanted to go full down the path of agility for the businesses and also for their IT solutions and communication solutions. And they had bought a couple of, probably much more than a couple, they had bought lots of different banks in regional countries, and they all had the different contact center solutions based on different vendors and different technologies and different solutions and hardware and integration. So they were looking to apply what they were looking into at the time, the logic of API and microservices to the contact center. And it didn't really exist, a contact center through the lens of APIs. It was something that was really did not exist. So they met with Twilio. They went to Signal, our developer conference in 2015, and they asked, our guys, our CEO and our architects, could we build our own contact center using APIs, using your platform? And he said, yeah, that's exactly why we built at Twilio, to offer APIs, communication that you can integrate in your own solution. And that's what they started doing. Our teams went there and in Amsterdam, worked with them, and we built what they called Contact Center 2.0 in 2016 and launched the pilot in 2017. And it was something that was completely customized, and they wanted to deliver a new way to do customer experience. They wanted something completely unique and designed for ING, their culture and their processes. And that's when Twilio said, well, that's brilliant, but it still took like 12 to 18 months to prototype, build something and deliver something. So we said, what if we could propose something that is more like an out-of-the-box solution that will still be based on our API platform? So it will still have the power of programmability. It would be still open platform with APIs, completely customizable, but with something that is much more out of the box that can start very quickly and very, in a fast fashion to start a contact center in the cloud. And that's why we created Flex and how Flex was born. And that's what we do today. We talk to customers. They want to implement cloud contact center solutions in a very agile, iterative way, and something that will be completely customized to their business.
Great, thank you for the introduction, Joël. I think it's really interesting to hear this history as well behind Flex that you're now offering. And I think, Jonas, you're heavily involved in implementing this solution for customers, I understand. We've had some questions that were posted in advance, and people were interested to understand a bit more about how how Flex actually relates to API solutions. What are some of can you give some examples, maybe some use cases of a practical sense, specific problems that people are solving with the solution?
Yes, of course. Well, based on the story Joël just shared, and on the premise that you have tools that will make you have a contact center out of the box. They will work directly, but you will be kind of following their roadmap. You'll have the ability to configure their tools and not exactly what you need. That's where APIs come in. Each business has to differentiate themselves, and our common saying is you cannot be different if you use the same tool as everyone. You have to really fit to your tool to really what the business is. And APIs come in at different levels. They come in as configuring how you want to receive a call, what IVR you need, gathering all the data from all the tools you need. Some very common topics are being able to recognize your customer, understand why he is calling, right even before he has even talked to you. You know that this person has already opened the ticket in your ticketing platform. You know that his last order is from a week ago, so he's probably talking about this same order. You can already qualify many things thanks to APIs because they connect all those systems together. And that's even before the customer has even talked to you. So that's very powerful already. And so you can already qualify that person, understand why he is calling, up to providing much more self-service answers for the client. So trying to reduce the load on the agents behind that IVR. And when the call actually goes to the agent, help the agent by providing them with all the information that we know about the clients that are coming from all the systems. And we usually measure that about 30% of the time spent by agents during a call is looking through, in average, 10 to 11 systems to find the right information, copy paste information. Of course, make mistakes because you're copy pasting info from 10 different systems. So you have the client waiting while you are trying to figure which system you have to go to find the right info. APIs help you solve this challenge and reduce the time to getting an answer, the load on the agents, and eventually the customer satisfaction because they get the better answer faster.
I've seen that problem. You talk about 15 systems. I've seen 20 at a time, and I'm always in awe of the agent's skills at being able to keep the customer happy on the phone while they've got all these screens open and they're flipping around between. I think the employee proposition for some of this enablement is also really interesting. In particularly, I guess, as so many contact centers have had to operate remotely. It's enormous stress on the agents themselves, which, in terms of being able to deliver that seamless customer experience and being able to kind of educate people. Maybe Thibaut, I'd be interested to hear what you're hearing from customers of some of this, proposition for them being able to manage this real-time world, this post-pandemic world that we're in.
Yeah. So it's really interesting what you mentioned because I think so. What we see with contact centers today is that you want to find a way to maximize the impact of your agents for different reasons. The first one is that there's a lot of usual questions that would come to your center that might be very generic questions or question about an order. And so we want to be able to automate that as much as possible. And so we use a different type of automation in the systems to do that. So you can have IVR, of course, but there's also different type of communication that can help with that, whether it's through email, WhatsApp, and all those really fit really nicely into our view of I would say that unified platform with Flex. And so that's I would say the first one. And the second one, of course, is once you've taken away all that, I would say, pack of really easy questions to answers that can most of them be treated in an automated manner, it gives much more capacity to the agents to have an impactful conversation with the customer when it's really needed. Whether you need to really change an order, or if you have a problem, usually troubleshooting, and when you have someone which is unhappy, that's when you want to talk to someone and not just be in a chat conversation. So all those things that can be surfaced, like we can have a user sentiment that is surfaced in Flex that tells you in which I would say state of mind is the customer, and being able to focus the agent on that, I think is really important. we're talking a lot about AI, of course, and enabling all the type of automatic things that you can in the I would say contact center. But I think the human factor will never go out, and it's only a matter of being able to focus your agents, and I would say the human factor, on what's really important for your business. And I think the benefits is both internally, because you'll have probably a better agent experience when you're really solving customer problems rather than just answering time over time to the same questions. And on the other side, of course, when you're a customer, being able to interact with a brand or a company in a meaningful way with a human touch when you really need it, that's where you bring the value, and what's different about your company than to the competitors and what you see on the market. And I think we've all been experiencing that during the pandemic, because we've all been interacting with different companies, and you can see those who are really starting to do that very well. And usually it's the big ones, it's the Amazons, those that have really built their own system from scratch and have fully customized the experience. And you see a lot of companies that are starting to get there, but there's a lot of work to be done yet. So that's why I think the approach that we have with Flex is really interesting, because it gives you that ability to sort of mimic what you have with those really big players. We have more and more data that we know from our customers that we can really use to create that experience for the agents and for the customers. And so that's where the agility of Flex and using the APIs is really, I would think, very powerful, because it gives you the key to sort of being able to play in the same areas as the Amazons, where it was very difficult before to enter that space, because you have so much data to take care of. And now it's all possible because of the way we've integrated that with Flex, and an easy way to really customize it for your own business.
Oh, thank you. Really, really helpful. We've also had some quite a little bit more technical questions that came through to us in advance of this workshop. So over to you as to who best to answer the question. But people would be really keen to understand Twilio's proposition when it comes to kind of decentralized modern tech stack. What's the, over the next 3-4 years, for example, is service mesh going to be mandatory for resiliency? What are some of your views on some of the major kind of serverless containers, Kubernetes types of dialogue that comes in often when people are making choices about some of the tooling and the frameworks they might be. Who would like to answer this? Is it a Jonas question, maybe?
I can try to take it.
I know it's pretty broad.
But well, Twilio's view on that is really to well, first on the customer end, is really to hide that complexity to our customers. We do have our APIs that have front ends. We do have edges all over the world. We are in the process of deploying instances locally in the different regions for making sure your data stays within such and such region. But all the complexity and all the network and infrastructure management is completely hidden behind some very simple and easy to use APIs, where you will specify what's your best metrics. Do you want to have the lowest latency? Do you want to have data that stays in such and such region? Do you have companies everywhere that you are, contact centers everywhere that you are connecting to the same network? And so, for example, on our end, we leverage mostly AWS network to have something very efficient between our different edges. But we also give the companies the ability, and that's also thanks to a fully API-ized system, to use their own infrastructure and connect it to Twilio wherever they are and in the most efficient way. So on the technology we use, we are, of course, using microservices. We are, of course, using all those new tools that are making the platform scalable, very secure, and easy to use for our customers. But our goal is really to hide that complexity and make sure for our customers they can use the technology they want and completely rely on Twilio, whatever the scale and the way they use it is.
No, thank you. And I think probably a great segue, maybe, Joel, I can't believe we're already nearly at time, but in the conversations that you're having with customers, what are you talking about in terms of the near future for API products to, particularly the contact center space? What are some of the things that you're looking at ahead that you see external changes coming in, things that you want to be able to help people with that are still on the horizon, maybe a little bit?
Well, something that is kind of fundamental is the shift to a different culture. Historically, the people using the contact center, they used to have some solution delivered to them and having to work with those systems for 4, 5, 6 to 7 years. And if some of those tools did not match what they wanted to do with customer experience or the channels they wanted to engage the customers with, they were stuck with the solution. And so the challenge is not only is not even at all technology, because all those cloud solutions, they work, they're resilient, they perfectly fit the requirements. It's changing the culture, so the people on those contact center building customized customer experience for their consumers, to work together with their IT people and design and think ahead and iterate and have those discussions around what do I want to do, what do I want to change to my systems. To for instance, ING realized they could introduce very simply video to start authenticating people and documents from people in the onboarding process. So it's really about this culture of constant change and adaptation and innovation that those business users were completely powerless before this revolution. And it's that change. It's still often customers, they issue an RFP and they want a list of features. They don't really know why, but they think it's required to have all of those things. And actually, we engaged with them differently, saying that, have you thought about how you can apply those technologies to do this or to do that, or break the walls between frontline and middle office and back office people? So it's really about
fascinating. So we're talking about moving from a kind of configuration to a engineering style culture, really.
Exactly.
And really thinking about the contact management solutions in a sort of tech company's product sense, which of course Twilio is such a leader in understanding about technology, digital products. So fantastic to hear about what you're doing in changing the game in contact centers. Any quick words to just finish up? Unfortunately, we have to close out this session in a minute. Jonas, farewell. Thibaut, anything to just close out the conversation?
I think we had an interesting conversation, and I think maybe the summary is that like in the future, instead of having to probably adapt your processes, internal processes, and the way you work to the tools, the approach really to build your own tools and then make them fit to your specific business requirements is probably a place to go. And this is where you can then leverage so many things and be impactful for your customers. And so if you need APIs, or if you need contact center in your business, or in the past that you are having if you're a startup, I would strongly encourage you to start playing with the Twilio APIs, the Flex platform. It's super easy to get your hands on it and start playing with it. Like Jonas said, really, most of our work is to make things simple for the developers, so that you can really start coding and using the powerful tools that we have in a matter of minutes. Of course, for contact center, if you want to build something, it's a little bit longer, but it's really very easy. And yeah, if you need anything, reach out to us. We're really happy to help.
Lovely. I think we all look forward as customers of these other people's contact centers to getting fabulous experiences. So thank you so much, the three of you, for joining Apidays Paris today, and thank you to the audience for listening in. Hope you found it really valuable.
Thanks, Claire.
Thank you, Claire.
Have a lovely day.
See you. Bye-bye.
Bye.